What's up, guys? It's MB Boxing. I just finished up watching Mario Barrios versus Abel Ramos, and this was a 12-rounder in the welterweight division for the WBC Welterweight World Championship. And this fight was Friday, November 15th from the AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas, and this fight was broadcasted on Netflix. And in this fight, Mario Barrios and Abel Ramos fought to a pretty surprising split decision draw. Let me just say this first. This was an excellent fight while it lasted. It was really a tremendous fight, and I was picking Mario Barrios to win this fight via unanimous decision. That did not happen, as obviously Abel Ramos really stepped up to the plate, and it was just an excellent fight. I scored this bout 114-112 for Mario Barrios, but I'm definitely not mad at the decision of a draw. It was a really tight fight, and I could definitely see how it could be a draw. And just to break down my scorecard, or actually first, the judges had this one 114-112 for Ramos, 113-113 a draw, and then 116-110 for Barrios, which is pretty wide in my opinion. And that would only, I think, that would just be giving Ramos, I think, just like 3 rounds, which I just totally don't think is what that fight was. But just to break down my scorecard, I thought the first 3 rounds all went to Mario Barrios. I thought Barrios just had kind of the better work, even though round 3 was a more quiet round. Still thought Barrios had the better work overall. But in rounds 1 and 2, Barrios looked really, really good. Round number 1, he landed a big straight right that buckled the knees of Abel Ramos, almost dropping him. His glove technically touched the canvas, I saw in the replay, but it wasn't called a knockdown when it happened. It was just so quick. But it was a really good shot, almost put him down, basically. Then round number 2, Ramos was actually dropped. He was dropped with a beautiful 1-2 towards the end of the round, and it was really looking like a great performance for Barrios. But then in round number 4, this one was a pretty close round. I know I said round 3 was a more quiet round, but round 4 was also pretty quiet. But I thought Ramos kind of gained some confidence with his body language. He started to press forward a bit more, and I thought he landed a few decent body shots, so I gave him that round. But it was really, really tight. It really could have went either way. Then round number 5, I gave this one to Mario Barrios. I thought he just had a bit more of the effective shots, even though Ramos he wasn't really landing clean. He was actually throwing a decent amount, but I thought that Barrios' shots just had much, much more vigor on them. And then round number 6, this was a huge round that really shifted the fight for Ramos. He was able to get a 10-8 round here, dropping Barrios, landed a huge straight right down the pipe that really rocked Barrios. Followed up with a few more combinations, putting him down. And then I thought that Abel Ramos took rounds number 7, 8, and 9 straight after that 6th round where he scored the knockdown, because in those rounds, really, I just thought he had more confidence. Or really, to talk about rounds 7 and 8, he had the much better body language. He was going forward, landing the far better shots, and he easily took those rounds, in my opinion. Definitely 6, 7, and 8, especially with the 10-8 in round 6. But then round number 9, this one was a really, really tight round. I thought that Barrios landed a bit of the cleaner shots, but I thought that Ramos was much, much more active, in my opinion, and I thought that he just overall kind of outworked Barrios slightly in that round, but it was a pretty tight round. Then round number 10, this one was also really, really tight. Same with round 11. And I gave both rounds 10 and 11 to Barrios, but they were really, really tight. I think they really could have went either way. It was just a really, really close fight. That's why I'm not too mad at a draw. But yeah, in those rounds, it was kind of really similar. Like, Barrios would kind of do better. Or no, it was kind of the opposite, actually. Like, Barrios did better in round number 10. He did better kind of earlier in the round, kind of solidified his status in that round, landing some decent shots from the outside. Actually was able to pick Ramos with a few nice, just stiff jabs and some straight rights and shots like that. Just really simple and effective combinations. But then later on in that 10th round, Ramos did a good job coming back. But then in round 11, Barrios had a great close to the round. However, Ramos started better in that 11th round. but it's still really close rounds there. Then round 12, this was an absolute war. Both were going at it, but I thought that Barrios landed the much better shots later. I mean, he had a very good close to the fight, landing a few good clean combinations on Ramos, but Ramos also had some excellent work. But yeah, that overall equates to a 114-112 scorecard for Barrios. And if you did watch this fight, comment down below your scorecard. However, this goes into question what is next for Mario Barrios. I'll talk about first. Obviously, for both fighters, a rematch could be on the table considering it was a draw. But being that Mario Barrios was the champ, going into this fight, Ramos was ranked number 8. And, I mean, prior to this fight, I mean, he was going into it with 6 defeats, and things weren't looking too good. In his last 5, he was 2-3. I mean, prior to this fight, he fought Juan Ramon Guzman in Mexico, who's a relatively unknown fighter. No one knew who he was, and that was just one fight that Ramos had before he lost 2 fights. He lost to Luke Santamaria by decision, and then he lost to Cody Crowley by decision. And then he came back, fought a nobody, and got this title fight. So it was very interesting to see that. But for Ramos, I don't really think he's going to jump in and fight. I mean, you know, it is possible because he is a PBC guy. And, I mean, Stanionis has the WBA belt there, or the only WBA champ now. And then, obviously, we have Jaron Ennis. He's got that IBF title. But, I mean, we could possibly see him face one of those guys, but I think it's much more slim. I think that we're more likely to see maybe Barrios defend against someone else who's ranked top 10 by the WBC. I mean, possibly could be Jamal James. I mean, he's ranked number 6 for some reason. Yeah, he's up at number 6. I mean, but then there's guys like Egidis Kaliauskas, who's number 3. I mean, I see Sissoko's number 1, Conor Benn's number 2, but, I mean, depending on what the WBC takes action on, we'll see what could go on in the future for that. But as for Abel Ramos, I mean, obviously a rematch could be on the table, but if not, I mean, he still has some dog in him, and he showed it in this fight, so I wouldn't mind seeing him against someone who's in the top 15, a recognized top 15 guy in the welterweight division, maybe for him to fight for another eliminator, because, I mean, he's 33 years old, but, I mean, he's like an old 33. I mean, he's been in a ton of wars in his career, and, I mean, just this fight still showed he's got a lot left in him, I think, and I wouldn't mind seeing him against someone else who's a top 15 ranked guy. So overall, Mario Barrios and Abel Ramos fight to an unexpected draw, but it was an excellent fight where both fighters dropped each other and really went to war. And yeah, that's really it. I'm MB Boxing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.